Hey guys, welcome to episode 1 of Replant Freedom 12-2. I'm sorry for all of the craziness that's been going on, but I'm so excited for you guys to be involved and listen and grow and help me grow and join in on the conversation. So here's to Victoria Getter and episode 1. Woohoo! Okay, I am here with Miss Victoria Getter. We have tried this a couple of times, and so many. We're not very computer savvy over here, so this is what we're working with. You're not really, I guess, full blonde, but it's really been showing through these past couple weeks.
I'm no good with this kind of stuff. When I took classes for college online, it was just you signed into a platform, you answered things in like a text bubble, and then hit submit. It was none of this like online video streaming stuff.
Yeah, I know, and like I know Zoom is not that complicated. Like right.
I mean, third graders use it. My mom's third graders use it. So
maybe we need a third grader.
Maybe.
Because Xander has never played with like truly played with a computer or tablet, and other than when he started this ABC Mouse stuff. You guys can sponsor us if you want. Shout out ABC Mouse. Come on. Gotta feed my kid. Free promo over here. But yeah, he used it one time, and now it's like Excel, like next level genius. I mean, I don't understand how that's even possible. Like one time, and he's a genius at it.
Well, and I feel like for so long, the technology that we had, like growing up, we were growing with technology. And then I feel like our generation kind of hit like a plateau or a peak with that kind of stuff if we didn't go into, you know, a work field that required us to continue like, you know, technical education. And, you know, this new generation, you know, the one after us and like, you know, kids your children's ages are, you know, growing up with tablets and stuff in their hands constantly. Not necessarily as a bad thing. I mean, there are great learning tools, but they just have more of that ability to grow, especially when you start younger. I mean, I remember trying to teach my mom stuff on cell phones and thinking she was the world's biggest idiot, and now I'm sitting here looking at third graders doing Zoom classes, and I'm like, I have no idea how to do any of this.
I know, that's exactly right, and and I bet you anything, Xander could figure this out in like 32.4 seconds. Like,
oh, I'm sure.
And he's so smart. Like, I know he's gonna be my little like NASA like engineer kid, because he is. And like I said, he's not really played on computers. I mean, I kind of give my kids that like 90s childhood, so when he does get it, I mean, he's just so, like, it catches on so fast. And I know it's not just my kid. I know a lot of kids that just, like, catch on to it fast. Now, Luke, he's like me. He's like, what is this? This is not real. He's like, I don't know. But Luke likes to watch TV, but he doesn't really like to play, like, on the phone or anything like that. He gets bored too easily.
And that's how I was, too. I mean, a lot of my friends have game systems. I had a Game Boy Color, and even that wore out its novelty for me, and I preferred playing outside or playing with other people and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'm the same way. Like, I would prefer to be outside more than I would, like, trapped inside. Like, oh, God. I get cabin fever in the winter. Yeah. Awful. That's why I think part of Montana, too, like, like, I've always had depression, you know, really bad, and, like, anxiety, but, like, it is literally dark and cold there, like, 9 months out of the year.
Yeah, you hit a whole other level of depression and stuff when you are stuck in darkness for that long.
Oh, yeah, it was, like, a shock, because I was so used to, like, all 4 seasons, and see, I was around people. Okay, so there was this one guy, his name's Stuart, and he's kind of like used to the cold and like the rainy weather because he was from Seattle. But like, then there was like this other guy named Hudson, and he's from Texas. So he kind of was like me, and he, in that way. And so it was really hard if you weren't like an extreme outdoorsy person, which luckily I was, but I'd get cold easily. So those two didn't, it's not like we were hanging out in Hawaii, like, you know, it's not like we were, you know, at the beach. This is, you would drive maybe like 40 miles and you were in the mountains, and it was be summertime and there was snow. So it's kind of like 1 minute you would be in like 65 degree weather, and then the next minute you'd be in like probably like 20 degree weather. And a matter now Montana is beautiful, and I want to take my kids there one time, but I would never want to live there again.
Sure.
No.
Yeah, I never did make it out there to see you guys. I would love to come out there sometime to see like the mountains and stuff. I mean, we've got some cool places to hike in Ohio. I know Kentucky's got some cool places to hike, more like gorge type areas and like creek type areas. But I would love to see like some real mountains. Yeah,
and I mean, there are some really cool places. Like if you go like if you want to go like rock climbing or like cliff diving, and places like that. The first time what's that place called? The Sluice Boxes. That's a really cool place, and you have to hike forever to get to like this big like hole, like you don't even know how deep it is, and you just like free ball it, like, you know, what you do when you're 19 years old, like you just do something just out of this world, just insane, and you don't even know how deep this water is, and all these like 30 guys are with you, and they're like, do it, Emily, do it, you can do it. And I'm just like, I can't do it.
Pressure.
So I just like closed my eyes and just jumped, and when everybody came up and saw that I was alive, they jumped too. They were like, let her be the guinea pig, you know.
To be 19 again.
Oh my God, I was so wild. Like the things I did, I just sit back and I think, why, Emily, what? But you know, it wasn't all bad out there. It was fun, but I met some really cool people. And, you know, I've actually talked to someone recently that I knew living out there, and she actually was from Seattle. And, you know, I messaged her just out of the blue because I had to tell her, like, I was raised in a very conservative small town where my ideals were so basic. And then when I went out there and I met such a wide variety of individuals, like, she really played a large role in like opening my eyes, and like, I don't even think she realized she did it until I told her. I honestly would have never been so like open to like sexuality. She was never like the type of person that would like tell me I was stupid for asking something. She would just answer it, you know? And she was just so honest about it, and she was so like free and open, and just, she had a calm aura about her, but at the same time, like, she was like that punk rock scene type of person. Emily going to a punk rock concert. Can you believe that?
I think you and I grew up in similar confined communities. Yours was a small town, and mine was a small private school where, you know, ideals were similar and were very basic, and the concept of breaking that social construct was just like unheard of.
Yeah, and it's scary.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, when you do finally venture out, people look at you like you're crazy, and you know, I kind of broke out of those social constructs in high school and spent a lot of years being, you know, body shamed, being slut shamed by administration and classmates alike. So, you know, it's interesting when you leave a small community and you burst forth on your own, and you meet new people, and you learn about new, like, different cultures, you learn about different mentalities, different attitudes, different belief systems, morals, values, and then you come back to that small town or that small community, and you're kind of shocked at how could I have ever lived like this, so closed-minded, or, believing these things that, these other people believe. But you kind of have to give yourself a break, too, because when you do return to that and you're like, how could I ever think like that? That's all you really knew until you broke free out of there.
Yeah, and see, like, I became, I guess, spiritually wild, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And very, like, curious. And I guess a lot of it was, it really had nothing to do with my mom's parenting or anything like that. I'm sure she would have answered it if I would have asked, but I just didn't know those questions to ask, you didn't
you didn't know what to ask.
No. And so when I met these all over the scale, like I went to an Indian tribe and they did their little like whole spiritual thing, and that was a trip. Okay, I wasn't even on anything, and that was a trip. Okay. That was wild. One of the coolest experiences, which I'll tell you about one day. Like, it is next world phenomenal. Like, so cool. And then I've met people that are like Wiccan, agnostic, and then I've met people that were like Buddhist and Hindu, Muslim, and speaking, before I, go too far, speaking up, I want to, because today is 9/11, I do want to thank every single person that was helped in 9/11, and I just want to give my thoughts to all of the people that suffered in that, but I also want to take a moment to talk about what I learned about the Muslim community when I was in Montana. The Muslim community is not what people think it is. And they're not cruel people. Like, people that live in America that are Muslim and grew up in America and are Muslim are not terrorists. And they're actually very kind, caring individuals. And the person I'm thinking about specifically could not have come from a nicer family. And it's so funny because I knew a Jewish person out there, and they were roommates. A Muslim and a Jewish kid were roommates. And they lived in the same barrack, dorm, whatever you want to call it. And they were best friends. And so it's kind of like, that's really a big stepping stone if you think about it. We are in 2020 and we still lump people into these categories. And it's kind of like when they were put in a room together and they didn't even know each other, and they knew one was Muslim because one of them literally had the Muslim flag, the other one had the Jewish flag, and they lived harmoniously, right? And so I just feel like that's really important to talk about, because I feel like out of a lot of religions, they get the most hatred. And that is so sad for me. And I feel like we've come a long way.
I feel like society tries to put people in little neat boxes, and none of us fit in little neat boxes. And the quicker people realize that other people don't fit these boxes that you want them to fit in, the more growth that we can see as a community. You had mentioned knowing somebody that was Wiccan when you were in Montana. I'm actually planning a trip to Cleveland with my very best friend Casey, and we're going to visit the Buckland Museum of Witchcraft and Magic, just because I feel like the more you know, right? So
right.
As long as I don't ever stop learning, even if it's not something that I have necessarily have a draw of interest towards, if I can find a topic of conversation where I can relate with someone new who is interested in that, then I'll feel like I have done my due diligence as a decent human being. What's it going to cost me? A couple of hours and, $8 an admission just to go and learn something that might create a lifelong friendship later?
Right. I completely agree.
It costs you nothing to be a decent person. It costs you nothing to educate yourself, except a little bit of a time and maybe a small amount of money if you choose to go to places like museums.
Right.
I'm all about going to museums. I'm all about reading on history things. I'm an interactive person, so museums, I tend to keep the information long term in in my head when I go to museums. But I don't see how it's any different for somebody to go to a zoo and learn about animals, or go to the aquarium to learn about sea creatures, or to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to learn about music. I don't see that as any different than if you were to take some time out of your life and go to, the Freedom Museum or the Holocaust Museum or, the Cincinnati History Museum. There are all these, and I say Cincinnati History Museum because I'm from a suburb of Cincinnati, but there are so many different museums that you can go to learn about, current and past events. I have the Air Force Museum up in Dayton.
Now that's a cool museum.
But it costs me nothing to go. A lot of these places have free programs too. It costs me nothing to learn about something that it might move them to know that I'm interested in something that they're interested in.
And that's exactly what it was. Like when I started, and not just in Montana, but even the small trips, like whenever I went and stayed, I think I was there for 6 months in California. That was a whole new world to me. Yeah, the weather's great and stuff, but there's such a mix of culture there. And it takes a special person to live there, in my opinion. It takes a very, very special person to live there. And it takes a very open-minded person to live there. And it takes somebody that... tough-skinned, I'll put it that way. Those are the toughest people I think I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
But they are fun. People out in California are so much fun, but I've met a lot of cool people from there too. And, it really does take just busting out of that comfort zone. Your comfort's not always going to be there. That's temporary. And when you bet your life on one thing and one entity or one town or one place, you're missing out on so much. The one thing, though, that I am jealous of is that you went to freaking Africa.
That was amazing. That was an amazing trip. I could spend hours talking about that trip. But before we go down that rabbit hole, I do want to touch on something else that is current for this month, and that is yesterday was actually World Suicide Prevention Day. And then September is Suicide Awareness Month.
Yep.
So I also want to touch on a company that is called To Write Love on Her Arms. Not sponsored.
Say it again so I can make sure that they heard it.
I said To Write Love on Her Arms is the organization. They're not a sponsor, but they should be.
Right.
Especially since that's what one of the things that you're so passionate and advocate for. But the founder of the organization To Write Love on Her Arms wrote a book, and it's called If You Feel Too Much. So I just kind of want to give that to your listeners as something for them to read if they are feeling down and out. It was something that has pulled me out of a dark time more than once. I have read it cover to cover. The pages are almost falling apart. So it's definitely something that will make you weep, but weep tears of joy. You will be able to relate to it. So just, in light of it being Suicide Awareness Month, I just wanted to tell everybody that your life matters and you're important to me and you matter to me. So at the end of this, Emily will put my contact information. We're going to touch on a couple of different topics tonight, and if you have questions or need resources for any of the topics we touch on, please feel free to reach out to me. So I am here for you.
Yes, we both are, because it is so important. And, the conversation in adulthood is extremely, extremely important. And, I know it feels suffocating, and I know it feels like it's never going to end. And the only way to end it is if you end it. And I will speak on my own behalf that I have felt that way more times than I wish to believe. And I will actually tell you, Victoria, I'll go ahead and be really, really honest, and I really don't care who I upset. When I was in Montana specifically, I was in such a whirlwind for a lot of different reasons, but I actually thought about committing suicide when I was there, and I was prepared to do it. Like, it was ready. It was in the books. I was ready to do it. And it was about 24 hours before I found out I was pregnant. I was thinking about it, and then I was like, oh God, my mom and my sister, and how am I going to explain this? And like, what if somebody thinks I'm murdered? You know, all these types of things. I don't want somebody to go to prison for this. And well, I prolonged it for a little bit, and then I hadn't started my period. So actually we had my friends over, the ones that were from Seattle, and I took a pregnancy test, and I found out I was pregnant. And that is the only reason I am not dead. Because I was waiting until they left, because they were staying at our house. I was waiting until they left, and it was already set in stone. Like, it was going to happen. I just had to figure out how to do it without making a big scene. And I found out I was pregnant with Xander. And if that's not God, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. For those of you that don't know, Emily was married to my brother, and Xander and I share a birthday.
You do share a birthday, and it is coming up.
Yes, it is. And I don't know if Xander's into like stars and stuff, but there's going to be a supermoon on our birthday.
What? I had no idea.
So I'm hopefully going to be somewhere with clear skies so that I can really absorb the supermoon.
Yes, he loves the stars. I mean, he's going to be an astronaut when he grows up, remember?
Yes. Well, I mean, I think, I really feel like he could be an astronaut or a paleontologist. He loves dinosaurs, too.
Oh, he's going to be it all. Let me tell you, that kid's going to be an animal doctor. He's going to be an astronaut. What else is he going to do? Oh, he said he's going to wipe my butt when I get old.
Oh, see, now that's true love.
Yeah.
That is true love.
Yeah, he's either that, or he said he was going to make enough money to pay somebody to wipe my butt.
Girl. That's awesome.
I said, you thrive it, buddy. You just keep on right path, and you, as long as it's somewhere on the beach.
There you go.
Actually, I'm really not a huge fan of the beach. But, I mean, I won't complain if he puts me in one, you know. I won't be too picky. I mean, just give me a really hot nurse and we'll be fine, you know. But seriously, guys, all seriousness, suicide prevention is conversation. It really 100%. Is. It really is. I mean, there is so many ways to just see someone hurting, and that includes drug addicts, that includes alcoholics, that includes the mom that stays at home that never talks to her friends, that includes the mom that has suffered miscarriage, that includes every single person that you wouldn't expect to have suicidal thoughts. They're probably having them or have had them. And and men are actually, did you know that's the number one killer for men, is suicide?
Yes, I did, actually. And aren't they 2/3 more likely to commit suicide than women? And that's because society has never really given them a healthy outlet for their emotions. If you cry, you're a sissy or a wussy, you know. And I want to normalize men being allowed to have feelings.
Right. That is so important.
If you can't cry in front of me, then, I'm going to feel like I have to close off my feelings as well. And when you have to close off those emotions, those natural, raw emotions, I feel like you lose a part of yourself. I feel like you lose a bond with another person. And you lose part of that line of communication. I mean, you can't show those raw, natural human emotions, then you lose communication as well. Especially if you can't show them to your partner or your best friend.
Oh, no, I completely agree. 100%. And everybody needs somebody, you know? Everybody needs...
Right.
I mean, even if it's, you know, your freaking dog, I don't care. Everybody needs somebody or something to love and for them to be loved back, you know? And that is so important. And I don't care what anybody says. It can literally, as stupid as it sounds, and a lot of people get upset by this, like, your children, and whether it be your kids, your grandparent, whatever keeps you waking up in the morning is good for me.
Yep.
Right? And so
exactly.
I don't care if it's your freaking pet snake in the aquarium. Like, you keep that rolling, because it's so important. And I know therapy is not for everyone, but you have to find the right outlet, whether that's venting or if that's just whatever it may be. You have to find that outlet, because if you don't, we're all going to be screwed. And that definitely includes men. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a little dog, and, you know, I have always been a firm believer that having a pet is a huge, huge stress relief. It is scientifically proven that petting an animal, specifically a dog, will lower your blood pressure, lower your pulse, and lower your stress. I have had my dog, she'll be 15 in October also, actually. But I've had her for 15 years now, and I can't imagine not having her. That dog has licked so many tears and seen so many of my trial and errors, so many of my tribulations. She's been there through so much of my joy. I feel like I have almost a human companion, because some of the ways that she looks at me, it's like she understands.
Yeah, and animals are something else. There's a reason they go into nursing homes. There's a reason they go into the children's hospitals and things like that. I mean, they're great animals, and I hate the idea and the thought of anybody feeling like, because I felt like that, like you're just trapped and you can't get out of it, but you really, really can. You have to take it minute by minute, and sometimes second by second, even if that means counting the seconds. I mean,
there's a reason why taking things minute by minute or second by second is a reoccurring theme in so many different recovery programs, whether it's AA, NA, trauma, like small groups, therapy. There's a reason why all of these people that lead these programs continue to say, just take it minute by minute or hour by hour. And that's because it works. It really works. You've got to just focus on getting through that minute. And then, once you're comfortable doing that, you get through the hour. And then you get through the day. And next thing you know, you're starting to get through months at a time. And you've already grown. You've already started healing. You've already started getting better. And you've not even realized it.
Right.
Just by extending the amount of time it takes you to get through. So, Emily and I are here for you guys. And, like I said, we will drop my contact information below at the end of this. But I really mean that. And I feel like if I can just help one person for one day, then that will have given my life meaning. There were people that helped me in my darkest times, and so if I can give that back to somebody else, I think that I'll have known that I was the best person I could be. It means a lot to me to give back to my community. It means a lot to me to give back to your listeners, because without your listeners, this and those who participate, this wouldn't be a thing. So talking to you is like therapy for me. This is like our third or fourth attempt at this, and this is the first one that has worked out. But talking to you has really been a form of therapy for me. Therapy itself was never going to be my outlet. I'm just not that kind of person. I don't talk to a stranger well face to face, But knowing that maybe my story being heard via audio could help somebody, that matters to me. And also having somebody that knows about me and knows me as a person, getting to share these moments with me is important as well.
Yeah, and I'm so happy that, you know, we were able to talk and stuff. And I mean, not just for Xander, you know, I mean, that's important.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's bigger than that, you know. I mean, I think that whether you have had a small relationship with somebody or a very big relationship with somebody, just reaching out and having a conversation, like I said, conversation, like you just said, is healing. I mean, it does really, really help. And I feel like a lot of things that I was struggling with too, I mean, talking to you about it and us just having like an open conversation about some things really did help me. And all the conversations that I've had with anybody has helped me too, because I felt like somebody wasn't just like going to attack me or wasn't going to, you know, form some crazy opinion that I've made up in my head, you know, and I have those thoughts too.
We've known each other for the better part of, what, 6 or 7 years now?
Since 2013. Yeah.
Yeah, 7 years now. And, you know, we didn't really start to develop this relationship that we have until, like, the last 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, and I almost think that we've developed a better relationship this way than if we had, you know, in an alternate way. I mean, we spent time together. We spent, you know, holidays, family gatherings together, and, you know, I was there when you gave birth to my birthday gift. But, you know, we never really spent substantial amount of time bonding and getting to know each other on a deeper level until you started your group Fight Fire with Fire, and that was when I really got to know you at your core, and when I felt like I could talk to you in a candid manner and share things about myself that are hard to talk about, or, you know, that I think are ugly parts of me, or things that scare me to talk about. And I felt like I could do that with no shame.
And see, the thing is like, that story, the big story of my childhood when I was in CPS custody, Taylor doesn't even know the full scope of that. And that's out of his own, he doesn't want to think about it. And it's not for everybody. That conversation is not for everybody. The way I explain it, and I understand, and I am completely aware that that is something that a lot of people wouldn't be comfortable talking about. But for me, I talked about it, not necessarily going into it to heal anyone else other than myself. I needed to tell somebody. I didn't care who it was. I didn't care if it was random Joe in Mexico. I needed to talk about it. And I needed to talk about it with somebody else other than somebody who knew me intimately, like Taylor or my mom. I just needed somebody else to listen to it. And after that, it was kind of like the freaking floodgates opened. And I was like, oh, God, what is this? Like, what do I do with that? And I, step by step, minute by minute, day by day, I eventually started to heal and feel better, you know? And I...
almost like you could breathe again.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is honestly, and a lot of people that I've reconnected with over this time period, I tell them the same thing. I'm glad we didn't have these discussions even 9 months ago, 8 months ago, because even then I wouldn't really be open to the honesty and the truth. I don't know what it was in that moment that made me, and I can't explain it to people. I still have to go back and rewatch it because I'm still shocked that I even told it. It's not something I ever planned on talking about. So it just happened on a whim. And so I still have a hard time.
Hey guys, my name is Tasha Meyerhoff, and I started with this new brand called Savvy a few months ago. I started because I really love their mission statement of wanting to empower women and make them more confident. They have something for every body type with sizes from extra, extra small to 3XL. Their workout gear is like nothing I have ever worn before, and their leggings never move or bunch up. They give major compression in all the right areas, and as an added bonus, they are squat-proof with no embarrassing panty lines. Not only do they have workout gear, they also have everyday wear that is truly comfortable and flattering. After my 2 kids, this company has given me my confidence back, and I look forward to seeing their new arrivals every week. If you would like more information on this company, please message me on Facebook. Again, my name is Tasha Meyerhoff. That's Meierhoff. Thanks and have a great day.